Coming up on today's show of Talking NASCAR with Andrew Volkman, we're going to be talking about a former Craftsman Truck Series champion who just announced his retirement. And the NASCAR Xfinity Series will have a new name in 2026. And I have a new number one at the top of my power rankings this week. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Talking NASCAR, episode number 36. I'm your host, Andrew. Got a lot of news to cover today. Also, my power rankings are coming up in a couple minutes, so we'll get to that very, very soon. But let's just go ahead and get to the latest news from this past Monday and later Saturday evening. Let's actually start off with a update on Connor Zilisch. A little backstory: Connor Zilisch won at Watkins Glen International Raceway 2 weeks ago. But during his post-race celebration in Victory Lane, he slipped from his car while celebrating on the roof and ended up breaking his collarbone and had to get surgery on it last Tuesday. So Connor Zilisch right now is still recovering. However, he was present on the entry list for this weekend's race at Daytona International Speedway in the 88 car for Junior Motorsports. So I don't exactly know what the status is of Connor Zilisch, and frankly, it seems like that no one really knows what his status is as well. Justin Marks, team owner of Trackhouse Racing, the team that Connor Zilisch has a development deal with, was on SiriusXM NASCAR radio and spoke about Connor Zilisch's updated status and what chances he has of racing this upcoming weekend. And he said, quote, "It could end up being kind of a game time decision. I know that we all want him back in the race car. He wants to be back in the race car. JRM, Junior Motorsports, wants him to be back in the race car, but we got to make smart decisions. So I would just stay tuned on that one." So there you go. Again, it really doesn't seem like anyone really knows the status of Connor Zilisch at this point. My opinion on it is that with a injury like a broken collarbone, I think that you should give Connor Zilisch and as much time as he needs to rest and recover, get healed to a point where he doesn't feel a terrible amount of pain. And Daytona being a super speedway track, he already got injured at Talladega earlier this year. He hurt his back. I think it would be wise for him to sit out at least this race, if not well into the playoffs, because I have a hard time imagining that Trackhouse is concerned about him winning the championship, spending multiple years in Xfinity. They did that with Shane Van Gisbergen. He ran 1 year in the Xfinity Series and got moved up to Cup the next season for 2025. Connor Zilisch being a little bit younger, having already a lot more injuries, maybe that could play a role, but right now with Daniel Suarez out and not really many big free agent drivers on the market right now, except maybe possibly Justin Haley, I think that Trackhouse is probably going to look to bring Connor Zilisch up to the Cup Series full time next season. So in doing that, you probably would want your top prospect, who's going to be 20 midway through the season. He's going to start his first full time season in the Cup Series at 19 years old. I think that you would probably want him to be at full strength. You want him to be fully healed and just ready to hit the ground running in the Cup Series next season. So that's just my opinion. We're just gonna have to stay tuned on this. This will be the final regular season race, or one of the few remaining regular season races of the Xfinity Series season. And after the playoffs begin, Junior Motorsports will not be allowed to bring Cup guys up or down, excuse me, to the Xfinity Series to drive that 88 car. So I wonder who a potential replacement could be. Possibly at short tracks, Bubba Pollard, who is in the late model scene. He's driven for Junior Motorsports in the past, has a little bit of a relationship with Dale Earnhardt Jr. Maybe some other late model guys could get starts. Maybe Caden Kvapil, Carson Kvapil's younger brother. Maybe we could see some other guys like Luke Baldwin, who is also involved in the late model scene on the dirt scene. So maybe he could be a potential candidate for a ride. Maybe a Hendrick development driver like Rajat Caruth. Maybe we could see Corey Day get some starts. Maybe we could see another Spire guy like maybe Corey LaJoy. Maybe Daniel Suarez will make some more starts before the season ends. Maybe I have a hard time thinking of who else could be potentially in that seat. But that's the status update on Connor Zilic for right now. Speaking of Daytona, real quick, Casey Mears will be returning to the Cup Series competition this season with Garage 66 once again, the team he piloted with at Martinsville earlier this year. Casey Mears is still chasing his 500 career start uh, total and tally, a record that he is chasing still. I believe after he completed Martinsville, he's now at 490 career starts, so he'll be searching for 10 more. And I think it's, again, pretty realistic that Casey Mears can get that milestone. I think Garage 66 is perfect car to do it. It's not a very competitive car, but I don't think Casey is really concerned about contending for wins in these starts. I think he's just more worried about getting on the track and competing. So Casey Mears back out on track with Garage 66 for Carl Long at Daytona. And now moving on to another story. I know I've kind of jumped around between Xfinity, now Cup. I'm going to go back to the Xfinity Series, which will have a new name next season. NASCAR announced earlier today that O'Reilly Auto Parts, the humongous auto shop brand and auto parts store team and company, will be taking over the naming rights for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. So next season, it will no longer be the NASCAR Xfinity Series. It will be the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Pretty. I guess it's a pretty tongue twister right there. A very long name to say, I guess. But it was announced in the statement that it is or in the official press release, it is a multi-year agreement. So for right now, it looks like that Xfinity will not be the part or the title sponsor for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. They'll still remain a premier partner of NASCAR, so they're not going to go away. But now we won't have to hear that that driver is as fast as Xfinity Mobile anymore for that promotion, I guess. I wonder what promotion they're going to use for the Xfinity Series. But with this partnership, it's a direct partnership with the CW, the exclusive broadcast home of the NASCAR Xfinity Series, soon to be the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, I guess. But this is a good move for NASCAR. O'Reilly Auto Parts has really been a sponsor that has ties to NASCAR, mostly on the outside, kind of not really being too involved. It's not a big primary sponsor. It's not a big partner of NASCAR. It's just more so a sponsor that's there. He'll sponsor the race teams every now and then. He'll have commercials on the TV show, or on the TV, I should say. So it's not it hasn't been the biggest sponsor for NASCAR, but it looks like now they may be entering into that kind of territory. I know some people also wanted to the Xfinity Series to go back to the Busch Series Busch Beer being a premier sponsor of NASCAR. Uh, but that did not happen. I know some people still call it the Busch Series for just kind of how they call it. It's kind of been that for a little while. Some people also call it the Nationwide Series still a little bit, which is kind of weird for the period that it was called the Nationwide Series. And frankly, I'm probably going to be calling the Xfinity Series for at least well into the next racing season. So it's going to take a little bit of time for me to get used to that. But now the Xfinity Series has been the premier partner and the title sponsor of the Xfinity Series for 11 years, 10 years. I think 2015 they took over. It's 2025. I would say that's 10 years. Yeah, 10 years. Xfinity has been the title sponsor for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. So there you go. NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series will be the new name as of January 1st, 2026. Very exciting to say the least for the currently now named NASCAR Xfinity Series. Now we got to move on to the Craftsman Truck Series, however, and we're going to be talking about ThorSport and Matt Crafton. Today it was announced by ThorSport Racing, the team that he races for in the Craftsman Truck Series, that Matt Crafton will retire from full-time NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series racing at the end of the season. And Ty Majeski, the Wisconsin native, last year's Craftsman Truck Series champion, will be taking his spot in the 88 truck. It's kind of funny. Ty Majeski has moved around ThorSport with different numbers for quite a while now. I remember he was in the 66 for a little bit. He was in the 99, or maybe that was Grant Enfinger. I can't remember when they were with Toyota, but now he's in the 98. He's going to move over to the 88. When I get a shirt of Ty Majeski, I better be ready to quickly make a replacement or get a new numbered shirt for uh, my Ty Majeski fandom. But ThorSport released a statement on X today saying, quote, ThorSport Racing announces a new chapter for its storied number 88 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series entry. Three-time series champion Matt Crafton will complete his full-time role after the 2025 season. His 23-year partnership with Menards is the longest-running driver/primary sponsor relationship in NASCAR history. Teammate and 2024 series champion Ty Majeski will pilot the number 88 full-time in 2026. So there's the official statement from ThorSport. Matt Crafton, 50 years old, just turned 50 back in June. Happy birthday, I guess, late birthday to Matt Crafton. I don't know if that's a little awkward, but I thought I'd say it real quick. 50 years old, Matt Crafton won the Craftsman Truck Series title 2013, 2014, and 2019 as well. Didn't rack up many wins in the Craftsman Truck Series, but was more so a very consistent driver. But nowadays, Matt Crafton hasn't been very competitive. I feel like it was about time. Quite honestly, I thought Matt Crafton was going to keep racing for maybe another 2 years or at least another year before retiring, but I guess the time is right. Excuse me, I just saw I saw it was 2025. He was born in 1976. 1976. That is very incredible. Matt Crafton is 49. Sorry, Matt. You turned 49 back in June, so he'll turn 50 next year. So uh, Matt Crafton will be out of the seat next season. Again, he hasn't been very competitive over the last couple seasons. Going back to his last championship winning year, 2019, 2020 got another win, but ended up not winning the championship. And 2020 was the last season he got a win because he's gone winless for 4 straight seasons now. Hopefully, can maybe get a win here toward the end of the 2025 season to finish on a high note. But right now, it's been a pretty rough go for Matt Crafton. 16th this year in driver standings. He missed the playoffs. Last season, 14th, missed the playoffs as well. It's just been, we've seen the tail off from Matt Crafton a lot. And I remember watching him race actually last year. At the Milwaukee Mile, which was pretty cool to see. His truck stuck out like a sore thumb, but it was really cool to watch Matt Crafton race at the Milwaukee Mile as well. I do hope that Matt Crafton maybe will make some starts in NASCAR, maybe not full time because clearly that is it, but maybe he'll make a start kind of like Johnny Sauter is in the 66 truck. Maybe he'll go race for a Ford team in the Xfinity Series. Maybe he'll go race for Rick Ware. You never know. He's done that before. So I would love to see Matt Crafton back in the seat, but it looks like for now he will not be in a full time capacity. So we'll see how Matt Crafton the rest of his season winds up. Matt Crafton could honestly find himself on the Hall of Fame ballot one day. I hope that he gets in. I think he's been a legendary Truck Series driver, 3-time champion. He's 23 seasons in NASCAR in the Truck Series specifically. I don't know if he's quite lived up to the hype as or the career kind of like a Kyle Busch with his Truck Series career or Ron Hornaday, but maybe Matt Crafton can come close. I would love to see Matt Crafton in the Hall of Fame one day. I think that'd be very cool to see. But congratulations to Matt Crafton on his announcing retirement. Hope the rest of the season goes well for Matt Crafton. Now, real quick before we get to power rankings, I want to talk about once again the playoff format debate. And this time it was Mamba Smith who got on the debate, a very big NASCAR personality. He is the social media guy of NASCAR. He kind of represents NASCAR in that capacity. He is also a former driver, I will say that. Mamba Smith is, but I don't think he's been in the seat for a little bit, at least on a national stage when it comes to NASCAR. But on X today, they were discussing Mamba Smith and several others. They were discussing the kind of purpose of the current playoff format. And one post that kind of got everybody going was a very interesting take. I will say this. And on X, Mamba Smith he said about the playoff format, he said, quote, "The point isn't to crown the best driver, it's to crown the best team who executed the best when the pressure was at its highest and the lights were the brightest." So my immediate reaction to that is, well, I think we finally just got revealed what NASCAR's grand plan and purpose of having the playoff format is, I guess. So, but besides that, that's not really a good look for Mamba Smith, a guy who represents NASCAR as their social media personality, the guy you see introducing the drivers at pre-race ceremonies, the guy you see on Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour podcast. And for him to say that the point of the playoff format is not to crown the best driver, exclusively is to crown the best team who executed when the pressure is at its highest and the lights were the brightest. Well, that kind of defeats the play. That kind of proves everything that is what we don't want with the playoff format. See, right there. So, I mean, the point isn't to crown the best driver. It's best to crown the best team. Okay, we can get behind that. Who executed the best when the pressure was at its highest and the brights were the brightest. I think I said that right, right? I might have messed up a word there too, but either way, that's not what we want this playoff format to be. We want our champion specifically to be the most consistent driver, the most deserving driver, and the most deserving team overall. Joey Logano, we don't want him to be champion because he only won when the lights were the brightest, and when the pressure was at its highest. But like, try not to discredit Joey Logano here, but we don't exclusively want that. Like, I think that season it was kind of like Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick, like those guys were going back and forth for the championship, like for the regular season championship, I should say. So I I just have a really hard time like kind of taking this seriously and saying that, yeah, that's what we want. Like this kind of exposes NASCAR too. I'm also gonna say that real quick. So just not a good look for Mamba Smith and all of NASCAR at this point. So, um, I guess right now this doesn't really do anything for the playoff format. And if this changes the playoff format, all it really does is say that, well, this is what NASCAR is trying to do and what we actually do want. It just kind of confirms all of that at this point. So, I guess we can just keep holding out hope for a potential playoff format change in 2027. Well, I guess we just gotta wait and hope there. And actually, I love this little reply on X. Wild take, but maybe turning a motorsport into a survival game show on wheels that values advancing over performing hasn't boosted entertainment or legitimacy. More discourse and controversy, if anything. I actually really like that from JC Tay on X. I do like that kind of take. I do like that a lot. I'm not gonna lie about that one. But with that, I think it's about time to head on over to power rankings. I think we got all the news covered. So this time, I have not forgotten when to do power rankings. We're gonna do it today. I'm releasing this on Tuesday, but we are gonna do this today. I rank every single team in the NASCAR Cup Series, find the 10 fastest drivers and teams in the Cup Series currently, and put them on basically a list from 10 all the way up to 1 post Richmond edition heading into Daytona. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. Quick little honorable mention to get us started here. Ryan Preece qualified really good on the pole, but unfortunately on the wrong tire strategy, ended up weighed down in the 30s. Just wasn't Preece's night and definitely what he did not need heading into Daytona. He's going to need to win his way in, but let's go ahead and move on to number 10. His RFK teammate, Brad Keselowski. Brad qualified 6th, ended up in 9th place after kind of having an up and down day for the most part, but was still able to get some stage points in stage 1. Faded a little bit in stage 2, but ended up recovering to finish in 9th place. He's been on a really good stretch of races these past couple weeks. Besides that really rough finish at Watkins Glen, 3rd at Iowa, 5th at Indianapolis, 10th at Dover, 11th at Sonoma. Keselowski has been pretty consistent over the last month, so I think it's pretty comfortable to say that he is in my top 10 for right now after getting that 9th place finish at Richmond. And again, I just mentioned his teammate Ryan Preece qualified on pole. RFK has been heating up pretty much over the summer, but Keselowski will need to win his way in heading into Daytona if he does want to make the playoffs. Moving on to number 9, back inside the top 10 this week is Tyler Reddick at number 9. The finish last night at Richmond, not very good. Finished in 34th, but qualified 2nd, won stage 1, and was on track to be in a good position to get stage points as well in stage 2 before he got caught up in a wreck that wasn't his fault. So, but Tyler Reddick has been pretty good as of late. He got a 9th place finish at Watkins Glen, his first top 10 since Sonoma, which was almost a month ago, which, So, Reddick, he's been heating up a little bit. I do like the speed he had at Watkins Glen. I really like the speed he had at Richmond, and right now he's still locked into the playoffs. Reddick right now, I think it's safe to say both him and Bubba Wallace right now should both be in the top 10, at least for this week. And speaking of Bubba, he is at number 8 on my power rankings this week. Again, won stage 2 at Richmond. Again, kind of like his teammate, had a rough finish, didn't really reflect the race, had poor execution on that final pit stop on pit road, lost that right front wheel, ended up costing him a really good finish, but qualified inside the top 10, won stage 2, finished second in stage 1, and before that, finished 8th at Watkins Glen, 6th at Iowa, and then at Indianapolis, he finished first. He got that win. And then Dover, 7th. Wallace has been on a really good stretch, kind of similar to Brad Keselowski over the summer. It's just Richmond, the speed or the finish did not reflect the speed that Bubba Wallace had, and Bubba's historically a pretty good super speedway racer, so keeping him at number 8 I think is a pretty good spot. He actually moved up 2 spots compared to last week, so I feel pretty good about that. But Bubba at 8. Hey, me and editing real quick, Andrew and editing real quick. If you heard like some buzzing and stuff and like things vibrating, that was some thunder from outside. It was storming while I was recording this episode. So if you did hear some thunder and stuff and some vibrating, that was some thunder. So I apologize for that. It's just that it was storming really, really bad. So nothing I can really do about that. I tried to keep it out and like turn on some noise gates and stuff on this recording software, but I have no promises that it doesn't have a little bit of a vibration in the actual episode. So real quick one, just mention that. So sorry about that. We'll get back to the video in the episode. Sorry. At number 7 is Kyle Larson. Larson started rough, really rough for Kyle Larson. He's been qualifying not very good in these recent races, but was able to get up into 6th place to finish the race, and that's his first top 10 since Indianapolis a little over 3 weeks ago. It's been rough for Kyle Larson, just to say the least, but Larson, after 2 really rough races, I think it's safe to say that he is still pretty consistent at being able to have solid speed. We haven't just seen him dominate a race, and with Daytona coming up, anything can happen, and with the playoffs coming up, I expect him and Cliff Daniels, his crew chief, will start to step it up, and Hendrick will start to step it up as well. So Larson at 7. Another rough race moves Chase Elliott down another spot to number 6. Just really rough for Chase Elliott these past 2 weeks. And Watkins Glen finished outside the top 20 for the first time all season. And then at Richmond, had his first DNF of the season. So 2 really rough races. He hasn't had a top 10 since Dover a little over almost a month ago, which is absolutely incredible. He's had, I would almost say, top 10 speed at most tracks. Like Watkins Glen had pit strategy go his wrong way. Richmond, I think that he was on a strategy to potentially finish inside the top 10, but things didn't really go his way. 2 really rough finishes, and being that we haven't seen that consistent top 10 speed, I feel like I just got to move him down 1 spot to number 6. But his teammate Alex Bowman is on the up and up. After a 2nd place finish at Richmond, he's up to number 5, up 2 spots. And really good race for Bowman. He was tracking down Austin Dillon late in the going before Jesse Love kind of got on his way. Lap traffic played a big factor, but since Dover, almost a month ago, finishes of 3rd at Dover, 9th at Indianapolis, 7th in Iowa, disregarding Watkins Glen where he finished 20th, but still qualified in 7th, and then a runner-up finish at Richmond. Bowman has been extremely consistent over the past month, and heading to Daytona, anything can happen. Bowman, I'm going to keep him at number 5, actually move him up to number 5, I should say. So we'll keep Alex Bowman at number 5 for this week, but Chase Briscoe is down to number 4. 13th place at Richmond, just wasn't a big factor all race. Still a solid finish, but he's coming off of finishes of 5th at Watkins Glen, 2nd at Iowa, and then back at Dover, 2nd at Dover, and then Sonoma he finished 2nd. And at Indianapolis, he finished 18th after starting on pole. So Chase Briscoe really had his first kind of rough race, rough race in a little over a month. So Briscoe, move him down a couple pegs to number 4 after being at number 1 last week, but Briscoe has still been very solid over the last couple weeks. And then going to Daytona, again, anything can happen. I would expect to see Briscoe either kind of remain where he is or go up. But moving on to number 3, William Byron once again. 12th place finish, kind of similar to Briscoe, wasn't a big factor really at all in this race. Got some stage points, led a couple laps, but wasn't really a big factor for the win. But he locked up the regular season championship, so I thought I'd just keep him here for right now. And his last two finishes besides Richmond, fourth at Watkins Glen and he won at Iowa. So Byron is starting to pick up some little bit of speed late in the regular season. He's got that regular season championship locked up for right now. Heading into Daytona, he's got nothing to lose, and he's the Daytona 500 winner, the reigning Daytona 500 winner. So maybe we could see Byron maybe pull off a back-to-back at Daytona. Anything can happen at Daytona. I've said it this whole segment, but Byron at 3 for right now this week. But back up to number 2 this week is Denny Hamlin after being in 4 last week. Finished 10th after starting in 4th, and I think Hamlin, he said it himself, had a really good car to potentially compete for the win. Just couldn't really execute on pit road, had a speeding penalty. All the little things he didn't do right, that was what set him behind, but Hamlin's got 3 wins. It was first good finish since Indianapolis a couple weeks ago after a rough 2-race stretch at Iowa and Watkins Glen. Hamlin heading to Daytona, he's won it 3 times, kind of similar to Byron. He's won it 3 times, and as that Toyota commercial says, no big deal, I guess. So Hamlin at 2, I think feels good for this week after Richmond. But at number 1 this week is Ryan Blaney after a runner-up finish in 3rd at Richmond, 6th place at Watkins Glen after starting on pole there, 4th at Iowa, 7th at Indianapolis, and then 8th at Dover, going back to roughly the last month of racing. Blaney has been easily the best forward driver, maybe outside of, I don't know who else, maybe Keselowski, Preece over the last month, but by far and away, Blaney has been the most consistent driver this whole season. Yes, he's got 7 DNFs, but none of those are really his fault. And heading to Daytona, Blaney is a very good superspeedway racer. Not necessarily on Daytona's banks, but more so on Talladega. But 2 superspeedways, I think Blaney will still have a really good shot at winning. And he almost won the 2022 Daytona 500 a couple years ago. So Blaney at number 1 feels pretty good for right now. And there it is, my power rankings after Richmond. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of these power rankings. Where was your favorite driver on these power rankings? Do you think someone should be on this list? Do you think someone should be off this list? Let me know down in the comments section below. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Talking NASCAR with Andrew Volkman. Hope you guys enjoyed. I will be back very, very soon with my next episode of Talking NASCAR throughout the week. Got to take a little quick preview of the standings, so that is a must for the next episode. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. Once again, leave your comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought of the power rankings, and I will see you in the next episode of Talking NASCAR. See you tomorrow, everybody.